this has some football backing behind it.
Sure. I've been thinking about this for a long, long time. I've been lucky enough to work in football for almost 30 years and just spent a lot of time talking to people in different sectors of the industry. And a few years ago, I really started thinking even more deeply about it and actually writing about it publicly in op-eds. And I finally got tired of not doing anything, so I tried to challenge myself to do something. And excuse me. And so that's how it really came about. And I've been very lucky to have the support of a lot of really interesting and significant people in the football business.
There's a lot to like. The one thing, though, that I am curious about, and I'm sure that you're smart enough to think about this in advance, and hopefully expansion if it goes well, the initial business template has 4 teams in Southern California.
Yes.
I would think, Don, on some level, this is going to almost seem like a contradiction, but I think I would be worried about oversaturation with now the Chargers and the Rams in Southern California. Does that, I don't know, does that kind of change the marketplace? Have you considered that at all?
Yeah, we thought about that, but I don't think it does. What we're trying to do is very, very different, and we're going to play in the summer months of July and August, and we'll conclude our season before college football and the NFL even begin, and our season will begin just after the NBA Finals.
Mm-hmm.
And so we think that that's a pretty good spot in the calendar, and football players have for years participated in the 7-on-7 leagues in the summers and have had training camps in the summer. So, I don't think that that's going to be unusual for the players.
So just so the audience, if they missed yesterday's show, which, by the way, this conversation's on our website, just go to tikiandtierney.com, download it for free. But just to get everybody up to speed here, Don, it is the talent pool is going to be limited to athletes who are less than 4 years removed from high school upon a high school graduation. The goal is to give younger prospects a professional outlet to get ready for the NFL. So just as an example, if I'm a 4 or 5-star recruit and I go to a big SEC school, I play 2 years, and I say, you know what, or I play a year, and I'm not draft eligible based on the parameters set up with the NFL, and after 3 years, whatever. I can go to your league, I can hone my craft, and in essence, that just puts me in a better position, maybe to go from the spread offense to get under center to make me more professionally viable. Make sense?
That's correct. That's one of the objectives on the football side, and then we really have 3 primary objectives. One is what you just described, the professional football development, because the professional game is so different now than the amateur game. And the second component is that we want to make the game safer. We feel that, this is a good formula to help develop players, give them enough repetitions, but with a shorter season, reduce their injury risk. The third objective for the league is to really help players start exploring what their passions might be outside of football and help expose them to different people in many different industry sectors and just at least get them going on the right path, because they're going to be former football players much longer than they will be active football players.
That last one, that I didn't really think about. It's interesting. We're talking to Don Yee, agent for Tom Brady, and of course he's this new league that they're trying to get off the ground here, the CEO of the Pacific Pro Football League. It's interesting. You guys should read about it, obviously, at some point today.
It's very compelling, and it makes a lot of sense. Don, there's 4 teams, and they're all out in California. What's the plan for expansion?
It's a great question. We've had some internal discussions about that. We feel the model is easily scalable. For example, that Northern California is a completely different region. It's a big state here. We've looked at the Midwest in the summer, where people are outside in the summers, and that's a historical football region. And since we made the announcement, actually, in the last 24 hours, we've gotten a tremendous amount of feedback and emails from people in Texas, Florida, other parts of the South, the Mid-Atlantic. And the gratifying thing is a lot of that response has been from high school coaches, community college coaches, the grassroots, the people who really contribute to the game.
Mm-hmm. Now, Don, will this be a money-making endeavor? Will this, you know what I mean?
Oh, yes, absolutely. We'd have to pay the bills, and the revenue streams would be similar to any traditional league: media rights, licensing, merchandising, gate and concession. And the gratifying thing there is that we now live in a world where there's an explosion of potential content distributors.
Yeah. exactly.
And
Online being the biggest one, correct? Or
yeah,
even mobile devices.
Flip side of that coin, right, is that if you're a content distributor and you actually want live football game content, you actually can't access it because the properties that we know of are already under long-term contracts.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're stuck. You're not getting the college football or NCAA, and you're definitely not getting the National Football League.
Right.
Here's the
so
question.
we hope to add to the football inventory and expand the industry and create jobs.
Yeah, don't take from what's already existing. Just create new opportunities. Which brings the question: do you ever see this being a threat to college football? Because guys don't want to go to college and go on a scholarship and be subject to all these other things, that the rules and regulations, protecting their brands and not being able to monetize it, all those things. Do you ever think that this could become a significant competitor?
I actually look at this as a supplement to the existing industry, and we're just really trying to create, for the first time ever, an option for the players. The players have never, if you're a talented player and you really aspire to become a professional at the highest level, you've only really had one path that's been a well-worn path for many, many decades.
Yes.
And so what we're trying to do is give that player and his family, for the first time, just a choice. And how that plays out, we're not sure, but based on the last 24 hours, we've actually also had a lot of feedback from players who've reached out and left long voicemail messages about their story.
Yep.
And it's actually, pretty compelling.
I would imagine, Don, that you're certainly perceptive enough to preemptively guard against this. Forget about the fact that I'm a broadcaster. I'm also a fan. Nobody wants to see retreads. So if this is not going to become about guys who just, have at least in a small window proved that they weren't good enough to play on Sundays, nobody's going to pay for that. You know that, right?
Well, it's interesting. I try to be very open-minded about this, Brandon, and not cast certain judgments.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I do know, what the data shows, is that there is tremendous interest in emerging talent from high school and just beyond high school. That's evidenced by the fact that there's national focus on the NCAA's National Signing Day and recruiting, and there are businesses built around recruiting emerging talent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're trying to do is give that pool of players a choice, and hopefully the fan interest will be developed because they're potentially seeing the next generation of stars.
Yeah, no, I could see that being very interesting. From a player standpoint, the players, the young kids, the 18-year-olds are going to play. This is a favored nations thing, right? You're capped at whatever the salary is going to be, meaning the stars, maybe quarterbacks or whoever, aren't going to be paid more.
No, actually, we're going to just let the free market determine that.
Interesting.
And if there is, for example, let's take an example. Maybe there is a very highly recruited high school quarterback that has name recognition already. And we feel that person would be a good employee for our league. We may make that person a very different offer than some other player.
As you say that, and Tiki and I are kind of looking at each other, there's no doubt that that's going to directly compete with the NCAA.
Yeah.
Of course, Don.
Well, at least the option is.
There's no question.
Yeah, because you can go make a living now and really monetize yourself as a young man, where you can't do that right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing is we're, as I said, I really feel the next generation, they really inspire me. This is a very talented, the millennial generation I feel is very, very talented, very open-minded about options. And for us, all we're trying to do is put on a good product, pay the players fairly, make the game safer, and then help them establish a life path after football. And one of the key things we want to do, very first thing, is show them a chart, for example. If they play with us for 1 year, for example, and they happen to put away $5,000 in an IRA at age 19 or 20 and didn't do anything else, and we can show them what that amount of money will be when they pull it out at age 60, okay? And they'll at least have something for playing just 1 year in our league.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it makes it compelling for families.
What about health benefits, though?
Yeah.
Yes, no, we've already, we will have a health package, and most importantly, if you're injured in our league, you'll be eligible for workman's compensation.
Good. Pacific Pro League. And eventually, I mean, if this sticks and it gets continental, I think it's a huge deal. How confident? Last question for you. How confident are you this is going to work?
Well, we've got a very, very good team. I've been, a really good team of people who've been in and around sports for a long time, and specifically the NFL. The reception in all sectors, whether it be government, media, potential sponsors, potential content distributors, all of that's been very, very positive. We've got a lot of work to do, obviously, still, but in the last 24 hours, the phone calls and emails from many, many different business sectors has been very encouraging.